So these are my three lovely adults that will be watching my performance. Okay, so I'll inform you today about a very fun game called Mexican Train Dominoes and the different aspects that go into the game itself. How often do you find yourself playing a game and quickly losing interest? Well, it's time to introduce yourself to do some new games. One game that comes to mind is Mexican Train Dominoes. Some of you may not have heard of this variation of dominoes, however, it is something to take into consideration. So why I'm very interested in this game is because my family plays it a lot and we have a lot of fun when we get together, and it's really easy to pick up, so everyone enjoys it. So to start things off, there are 4 topics that I'm going to cover: the history, the background, the information about the dominoes itself, how to play and the rules, and then a little bit about how it brings people together and some life lessons you can take. So the history and the background, so it actually came from like a Chinese game, and Katie and Roy Parsons actually created this game, and they are from Newport Coast, California, and they copyrighted it in 1994. Later on, they sold it to a company that now distributes the game. So information about the dominoes themselves. There's actually a couple forms of the dominoes. Some are made from China, and then others are from Europe. So there's little different about that. And there's also, they come in different size variations. So you can buy packs that have like 55, 91, which is the most common, 136 and 190. So here's the difference, like these are the Chinese and these are the European, which you can see they're similar but have different aspects of them, the way they are laid out. Now that we have a little background on the dominoes, we can actually discuss the concept of the game. So the setup, there's 91 pieces normally, that's how it's played. You have to take into consideration the amount of players like per domino. So if you have 4 players, then normally they pick 15 each. If you have 5 or 6, they pick 12 each. If you have 7 or 8, they pick 10 each. 9 or 10, they pick 8 each. So, and then the rest of the dominoes go into a place called the boneyard, which is basically just all the dominoes flipped over that you can pick from later on. And there's also things called markers, which I have right here. They're just like little trains. Some people also use coins, which I'll discuss what the markers are for later. So to start the game, there's only 13 rounds, and you start off using the double 12 domino, which is right there. And basically, to pick who plays first, you all flip over the dominoes, the tiles, and you mix them around, then whoever has the highest domino goes first. And then after that, you put them back in and mix them around again, and then they draw however many dominoes you want. And then it starts with the person who had the highest one and goes clockwise. So basically what they do is it goes clockwise, and each person puts down 1 domino on their private train. Or there's a thing called a Mexican train, which is just an extra train that someone can start, and it's open to the public, and you put a marker on it to show that it's open to the public. That's what the marker means. So they can play on their private train, their a train that's marked with a marker, or the Mexican train. So, and basically what they do is, if they go on their own train, they just keep playing it, and if they don't have any matching ones, they can pick from the boneyard, which is just the big pile of leftover dominoes, and if it matches, then you have to put it down. But if it doesn't match, then you just put a marker on your train and it keeps going. So, and to remove the marker, you have to play on your train again. That's how it gets taken off. So in the concept of doubles, if you put a double down, you must cover it, and if you don't have the domino to cover it, you must pick up from the boneyard to cover it, and if you can't cover it, you put a marker down, and the next person has to try to cover it, and it goes around in a circle until it's satisfied. So here's an example of like a double, then just another one is satisfying it. And an exception to that rule is if it's the person's last domino, then they just win the game and it's over. So at the end of the game, you have your remaining dominoes and you count which ones, like the dots on each domino. So then whoever has the lowest one wins. So there's also there's many variations of this game. You could start it off a little bit differently. There's different rules about the markers. There's also different rules about the doubles. And all of this information was from Jay McClure. So there's that. And so even though Mexican Train is a great game, it does more than just help connect tiles together. It encourages bonding and sometimes teaches us life lessons. So it brings people together is one of the main things. Like you need to put your phone down and have some family or friend time. And a quote from the New York Daily News is, "And the new national celebrity pastime is Mexican Train Dominoes," which I never thought was a thing, but apparently some people in Hollywood get together and play dominoes and host regular parties. And another interesting thing about dominoes that A. Mills found was that you can learn small business lessons from it, which was kind of interesting. So lesson 1 is focus on what you can control. So in the game, you can control your private train and what goes on it, and in small businesses, you can control your actual business. Lesson 2 is identify and minimize the risks you can't control. So in dominoes, it would be the pile of unusable dominoes that you have, you want to get rid of as quickly as you can. And then in real life, it'd be like, if it's hard to get to your store, you might want to make a website where they could like buy your product. And lesson 3 is leverage your assets. So in dominoes, you'd want to play the doubles because it gets your dominoes done quicker. And then in your personal life, you would have like personal contacts or networks, which would allow your business to grow in itself. So now that you have a better information about Mexican Train Dominoes, I hope that you go and play the game. So I'm glad that we could cover a couple aspects about the history, the background, the background of the dominoes, the information on how to play it, and a little bit how it affects your life. So thank you for listening.